15 miles per hour. Witnesses say it was listing at a 45-degree angle. Several passengers injured, tables and chairs thrown. Ambulance is waiting as the ship pulls into port. Breaking news tonight, bracing for protests. This evening, the California Attorney General is now out with his decision in the case of Stephon Clark, the unarmed black man shot and killed while holding his cell phone. Also developing tonight, the terror threat, the manhunt at this hour. 3 explosive packages are discovered, 2 sent to airports, 1 open near Heathrow. The plane going down, and tonight the rescue effort for Americans on board. Tonight, the staggering numbers just out. The EF4 tornado that killed 23. We have just learned that tornado was on the ground for a full hour and 16 minutes. And tonight, Ginger is now tracking a new storm. The president tonight calling Democrats stone cold crazy as his White House and his family now get 81 requests for information on everything from his finances to conversations with Vladimir Putin. The firestorm erupting over the new documentary about Micheal Jackson. 2 men coming forward with allegations, what they say happened repeatedly at Neverland, and how the Jackson family is responding tonight. And the news on Hillary Clinton tonight in 2020. What she said about running, President Trump responding tonight, and Clinton firing back.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. And we begin with that cruise ship scare, the same storm system that caused those deadly tornadoes rocking the massive Norwegian Escape cruise ship off the Atlantic coast, leaving from New York City, terrifying passengers, hospitalizing at least 8 people. 1 passenger recording the chaos as a sudden gust of wind, 115 miles an hour, slammed into that 20-story ship. People hanging on as the ship tilted 45 degrees by some accounts, furniture sliding across the floor there. Ambulances were waiting when the ship arrived in port, and ABC's Victor Akendo leads us off from Port Canaveral tonight.
Tonight, the harrowing video showing panic and chaos as massive wind gusts sent the cruise ship listing. According to one witness, it was at a 45-degree angle, sending armchairs sliding, passengers holding on to whatever they could, tables careening towards them, the sounds of glass crashing off shelves.
And we just keep waiting for the whole boat to capsize at this point. That's how I feel. I honestly feel like we're gonna die. Guys? Like we're gonna die.
Guys, go in the midship.
Some scrambling for safety, others terrified.
It was a pretty steep incline to this boat, and it was literally like we were almost walking up an incredibly steep hill to try to get to the center of the boat.
The Norwegian Escape cruise left New York City on Sunday as a storm was hitting the East Coast.
Wow, we all just went flying down.
Just before midnight, winds hit of up to 115 miles per hour, the equivalent of a Category 3 hurricane gust.
It's like the boat's tipping.
Several passengers and crew members were injured, parts of the ship in complete disarray.
All of these chairs were over here.
It was just sheer panic, like people running around, screaming, blood coming down people's faces, and just, I mean, it was truly like a scene out of the Titanic movie. It was so scary.
All right, so let's get to Victor Akendo live tonight from Port Canaveral, Florida, where that ship is now docked. And Victor, what is Norwegian saying tonight about that 115-mile-per-hour wind gust?
David, the cruise liner says it was a sudden and unexpected gust of wind. However, forecasters have been tracking that storm as it moved east for days. Norwegian says that everyone who was injured was treated immediately, and the ship will continue on with its trip as planned tonight. David?
All right, some frightening moments there, though, for sure. Victor, thank you. We're going to turn next tonight to Sacramento, bracing for more protests tonight after a decision late today by the California Attorney General in the death of Stephon Clark, the unarmed black man shot and killed while holding a cell phone. ABC's Will Carr is in Sacramento tonight.
Tonight, new protests planned in Sacramento after a second investigation cleared the police officers who shot and killed Stephon Clark.
Our investigation has concluded that no criminal charges against the officers involved in the shooting can be sustained.
That decision by California's Attorney General comes just 3 days after the district attorney's decision to not charge the officers in this controversial shooting caught on camera.
Come here, good.
Almost a year after 2 police officers shot and killed Clark, a black man who authorities say had been breaking windows but was unarmed, Tension is now boiling.
Our brother Stephon Clark slayed down like an animal.
Police arrested 84 people in Sacramento Monday night and detained at least one journalist. The response sparking criticism from the mayor.
So let's get to Will Carr. He's live in Sacramento tonight. And Will, there are more protests expected there tonight?
That's right, David. Protesters are here outside police headquarters playing music. They're planning to occupy the department tonight. It comes as the federal government has launched a new investigation to see if those two officers violated Clark's civil rights. David.
Will, thank you. Now to the terror scare in London at this hour after 3 explosive packages, one containing a small improvised explosive device, caught fire at Heathrow Airport, and within hours, those 2 other packages were found at other locations. There is a manhunt underway this evening, and here's our senior foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell now.
Tonight, the hunt is on for the London bomber after 3 small improvised explosive devices were sent through the mail, delivered to 2 of London's airports and 1 to the city's Waterloo railway station. It was here, near Heathrow Airport, where someone started to open one of the letter bombs, causing it to ignite. The building had to be evacuated, but no one was injured. Officers from Counter-Terrorism Command have now launched an investigation. London's Metropolitan Police tweeting, "We're treating the incidents as a linked series." Perhaps one clue. Each package appeared to have been mailed from a bus company in Dublin, Ireland. Irish police now also helping.
Tonight, counter-terrorism warning people here at Waterloo and elsewhere to be alert to further suspicious devices. Meanwhile, the hunt goes on for who mailed these packages and, most importantly, why. David?
Ian Pannell with us tonight. Ian, thank you. And, of course, we are just back from Alabama this evening. We have new reporting here after that horrific tornado that hit Beauregard, Alabama. It was an EF4, winds 170 miles an hour, as we reported last night. 23 people killed there, including 7 members of one family. And tonight here, we have just learned that that tornado was on the ground for a full hour and 16 minutes. ABC's Steve Osunsami is still on the scene.
The sheriff of Lee County, Alabama, says they're still looking tonight for more than half a dozen people who they hope are with friends or family.
What's left of this home belongs to a state trooper who was hospitalized and at one point was in the ICU. You can see it from the sky. All of the people who were killed here, all 23, came from this community in a 1 square mile area of heartache and destruction.
Oh, dude, that's a big tornado.
The deadly tornado that tore the heart out of Alabama was on the ground for more than 68 miles and made Carol Dean a widow.
Our son found him. He was done gone before we got to him.
The funeral for 10-year-old Taylor Thornton is now Friday. Her family gave us these photos and asked us to share that she was a godly child. She was visiting her best friend in the world when the storm came through. The only survivor at the home was her friend, who's still hospitalized tonight. Pastor Rusty Sowell is the chaplain who helped break the news to each of the families. Tears filled his eyes when he looked around his church to show us the help that's coming in.
But you look around, and you see young and old. And what I see is hope. Hope for another generation. Hope for ours.
The National Weather Service is worried about more severe storms hitting this same area on Saturday. And for the next few days, temperatures will dip below freezing, which means that families who are cleaning up homes like this one will have to work in the cold. David?
To make matters worse, for sure, Steve, thank you. Let's get more on the system set to move right across the country, in fact. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tracking it all for us. Ginger?
David, even Jackson, Mississippi could break a record by tomorrow morning. That's how far south this cold goes and stretches, with freeze alerts from Texas to North Carolina, even North Florida. It's not going to be warm in the Northeast either. Look at some of the numbers tomorrow morning. You wake up, it feels like 8 in New York City or 6 below in Buffalo. But let's go ahead and quickly check the west, because there's a storm already happening. The worst of the rain from Burbank up to Santa Barbara would come tonight into tomorrow. On a burn scar, a ½ inch or an inch of rain is going to end up causing a potential mudslide or debris flow. David?
Ginger, thank you. Next tonight here, the White House is now defying a request from Congress for information about Jared Kushner's top secret security clearance. It comes after the Democrats made 81 new requests for information. The president tonight calling the Democrats, quote, stone cold crazy. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega.
Calling the request overly intrusive, the White House today refused to provide Democrats any information about whether President Trump, against the recommendation of intelligence officials, ordered that his son-in-law, Jared Kusher, be granted top-secret security clearance. But when we asked the president about it today, no answer. Instead, he lashed out at Democrats' sweeping new investigation into allegations of everything from corruption to abuse of power.
Sir, your response to the Democrats who are calling for a criminal investigation into Jared Kushner's security clearance?
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our country. And the people understand it. When they look at it, they just say presidential harassment, but that's okay.
The House Judiciary Committee demanding documents from 81 people and entities close to the president, including his sons Don Jr. and Eric, Kushner, and former aides like Hope Hicks and Steve Bannon. And they want to know about everything from the president's one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin to the now infamous Trump Tower meeting with that Russian lawyer and whether President Trump and his family are profiting from the presidency. The White House furious, but Democrats undaunted.
There has to be a check on the executive. We have to protect the rule of law, and that's what we're doing here.
Cecilia Vega with us live tonight from the White House. And Cecilia, I know you're tracking something else tonight. Former White House lawyer Ty Cobb sitting down with the ABC News podcast, The Investigation, and that lawyer disputing the president's claim that Robert Mueller's investigation is a witch hunt. He actually had praise for Mueller.
I think Bob Mueller is an American hero. I don't feel the investigation is a witch hunt. I wish it had happened on a quicker timetable, but it didn't, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, it's not a real criticism of the special counsel on the timing, because there were a lot of surprises.
You know, Cecilia, obviously this comment drawing a lot of attention tonight because Ty Cobb actually represented the White House for a time in the Mueller probe.
Yeah, David, this is really something. Ty Cobb defending Robert Mueller, calling him a justice-oriented person. And I got to tell you, that's what you hear from a lot of people in this town. Universally, Republicans and Democrats alike praise Mueller as a straight shooter and someone who is by the books, with the exception of President Trump, David, who's really ramped up his attacks recently, knowing that Mueller's report could be coming out very soon.
All right, Cecilia Vega, always great to have you. We turn now to the firestorm erupting over the new documentary about Micheal Jackson. Two men coming forward with allegations, what they say happened repeatedly at Neverland, and how the Jackson family is now responding tonight. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis now.
Nearly a decade after his death, renewed debate and scrutiny tonight in the wake of the explosive HBO documentary Leaving Neverland, where two men claim they were sexually abused by Micheal Jackson for years, starting when they were just 7 and 10 years old.
Once the abuse started, within that first week, every night that I was with him, there was abuse.
In death, as in life, Micheal Jackson still dogged by allegations of sexual abuse, this time by two men who once testified on his behalf, saying that he never molested or touched them inappropriately. Jackson was acquitted in 2005 of child molestation charges of another child.
Micheal told me that I had to lie. And that's what I did. I lied.
James Safechuck, now 41, says he first met Jackson while shooting this soda commercial. And choreographer Wade Robson, who's now 36, says that he met him after winning a dance competition. Both detail quite explicitly what they say happened behind closed doors.
At the same time, the sexual relationship is growing. He's working on pushing you away from your parents, or pushing you away from everybody else.
Both men describe being groomed by Jackson, sometimes spending as many as 6 hours at a time on the phone with him.
I was really into jewelry, and he would reward me with jewelry for doing sexual acts for him.
After Jackson died, they sued his estate. The lawsuits were dismissed for being filed too late. They're appealing. For those who question why both men stayed silent for so long, they told Oprah Winfrey becoming fathers themselves helped them confront the alleged abuse.
Can you explain to people why you want to continue the association if you have been abused?
I had no understanding of it being abuse. I loved Micheal. Anything that Micheal did was right to me for so many years.
The Micheal Jackson estate is now suing HBO for $100 million, claiming the documentary violates a non-disparagement agreement HBO had with Jackson. The lawsuit calls the documentary a one-sided marathon of unvetted propaganda to shamelessly exploit an innocent man.
And Lindsay Davis with us now on set. And Lindsay, we know the Jackson family is actually responding to the documentary now.
Yes, the Jackson family has released a statement which says, in part, Michael Jackson was and always will be 100% innocent of these false allegations. David.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. With the list of Democratic presidential candidates growing almost by the day now, Hillary Clinton overnight giving her most definitive answer yet to the question if she'll jump in again and run in 2020. In an interview with local cable news 12 Westchester, she made the news, and it comes after her trip to Selma, receiving an award for her work on civil rights.
Can you tell me now, standing here 100%, that you've ruled it out?
I'm not running, but I'm going to keep working and speaking and standing up for what I believe.
President Trump tweeting tonight, does that mean I won't get to run against her again? She will be sorely missed. Hillary Clinton responding with, why are you so obsessed with me? Meantime, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg tonight also saying he will not run. The billionaire saying he will instead roll up his sleeves to help elect other Democrats, and he says try to defeat President Trump. A major medical breakthrough tonight in the battle against AIDS. A London man is apparently cured of infection with HIV. The man, who was staying anonymous, went into long-term remission after a stem cell transplant in 2016 from a donor with a genetic mutation that helps block the virus. He's the second person to be clear of HIV now. Timothy Brown had the same treatment in 2007 and 12 years later is considered cured. The therapy obviously extremely risky, but it does give new hope in finding a cure. Next tonight, here the Americans rescued at sea, their small plane going down off Turks and Caicos. And here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos now.
Tonight, a rescue mission on the high seas. The U.S. Coast Guard alerted to a downed aircraft, then asking for help from a nearby cruise ship, the Regal Princess, sailing near Turks and Caicos. The ship's crew notifying passengers.
We're now 2.5 miles away. We're getting our teams ready for the rescue.
Diverting course, the ship launches a rescue vessel, racing across the choppy seas to save 2 American men floating in a life raft, just a speck on the ocean. They're picked up, raced back to the cruise ship, where they were cheered by passengers on board. The men waving back, grateful to be alive.
Both men are now safely on the ship that's headed to St. Thomas. No word just yet on what caused that plane to crash. David.
Stephanie, thank you. When we come back, the new headline tonight about vaccines and autism. Also, the world's newest and youngest billionaire. To the index and news about the deadly crash of that Amazon cargo plane near Houston. The NTSB now says the voice recorder does indicate that the pilots lost control at least 18 seconds before crashing. All 3 people on board were killed. They say the recording is very poor quality. The major new study tonight about the MMR vaccine and autism. Researchers finding the vaccine for measles, mumps, and rubella does not increase the risk in children or trigger autism in high-risk children. That study involves more than 650,000 children. And Forbes magazine tonight making it official, naming 21-year-old Kylie Jenner the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Her makeup company alone worth more than $900 million. When we come back, news coming in on the animals, the pets who went through that disaster too.
Like they're not able.
Right here, America Strong, Alabama Strong, and as you know, we are back from Beauregard tonight. The families we met and the pets, the animals surviving the tornado. Tonight, the tight-knit town of Beauregard, Alabama, coming together, comforting one another, praying together, already helping to rebuild. Just devastating, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
We met Sherry McClendon and her husband Billy, returning to the property their family had just sold to a couple months ago. What was the age range of the couple that bought this house?
They were young. They were in their 20s.
20s?
Young, yeah.
And they didn't survive.
We haven't found them. We don't know. We don't know.
They believe their names were on the list. Proof everyone here felt this. So many lost someone they knew. The McClendons among them.
I don't know. I don't really have a lot of words to say, to be honest with you.
There aren't words.
Those really aren't. No, sir. No, sir.
We're thinking about all of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Family members helping each other today, and the animal hospital taking care of pets, many injured by the tornado. And there was Buck looking up. Tonight, we've just learned he's been reunited with his family. We are with the people and the pets of Beauregard. I'm David Muir. I hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, good night.